It's a very touchy subject to talk about, the loss of a loved one. That's one thing us all as humans have in common, and that's the ultimate end, death. And I think everyone, no matter what walk of life you come from, no matter what your belief system is, I think that everyone has a thought process about death. And is there a consciousness after death? In order for us to step out of the shadow of pseudoscience, we have to open ourselves up to scientific scrutiny. We have to go to professionals from other technical industries, people that are experts in equipment that are used in those technical industries. And by us throwing away garage tech, by us throwing away equipment built for paranormal research, we are trying to take that next big step.
The last 2 years, we haven't had anybody operating in the third floor. Just empty. No one ever went up there for any reason. And there would be occasions where I would leave. We always left all the doors open. And I would come in the next day and all the doors would be shut. Not just the outer doors of the hallway, closet doors, every door would be shut. Immediately, his body temperature dropped, shivers all over his body. That was pretty wild.
So the Speed Mansion has a lot of really interesting history, and the interest for me really picks up with the first owner, who's Dexter Belknap. And he was this contractor, made a lot of money, and his life isn't all of that interesting except for one article that I found where he hosted a very well-known spiritualist here in the home. And it's the only place that I've done research on in Old Louisville that actually has ties to spiritualism. I have no idea if he himself was a spiritualist, but you have to kind of assume he might have been if he was willing to play host to a well-known spiritualist. And then of course you have J.B. Speed, who ends up purchasing the home. His first wife's last name is Coffin. They have a really long, beautiful marriage, and she actually ends up dying in the home. They have the funeral in the home. And then he remarries a year later, which isn't all of that, unusual for that period, but he was way later in age, and he marries Hattie Bishop, who was also way later in age. So I think it really might have been true love, like they wanted companionship, and she just ends up being this incredible woman.
My name is Andrew Cousins. I am an assistant professor at KICAD, and for a while I was head of facilities here at the mansion. My experience has been on the third floor. So the last 2 years we haven't had anybody operating in the third floor. We were all mainly in the first and second floor, so the third floor was mainly storage and just empty. No one ever went up there for any reason. So we always left all the doors open every night. And there would be times where I would be the last one gone and I would be up there, the doors are open, nothing to report. And I would come in the next day and all the doors would be shut. Not just and this is on the third floor, not just the outer doors of the hallway, closet doors, every door would be shut. And so, of course, I would put on my investigative hat and wander around. It's like, okay, where's the gust of wind coming from? Nowhere. I'll check the tapes to see who came in at night to work and is playing a prank. Nothing on the tapes. And so I have no explanation for that, but the doors would just shut randomly at night, and all of them. No explanation, and I still haven't figured out why. I was also having, part of what I was doing is setting up a room, so if we had a visiting artist or a visiting professor in town, they would stay at the mansion while they were here. And so I was the one coordinating with them and setting them up and all that stuff. One in particular stayed in after his first night, and so this is where I would get a lot of the reports. And so after his first night here, he's heard about the house being haunted, he's heard about Hattie Bishop Speed, and so the first night he was here, he was brushing his teeth in the bathroom right by where her stage used to be, right down the hall here. And he brushed his teeth, was ready to go to bed, and he said, I was just joking around and said, good night, Hattie. And he said, immediately his body temperature dropped, shivers all over his body, goosebumps, and he said, I've never felt like that. I don't know, it was random. It wasn't cold, it was actually warm. And that was one of them. And then I think a couple nights later, because he was here for, I think, 2 weeks, he was staying in the bedroom right across the hall there, and he was, you know, the way he described it is when he sleeps, he turns his phone off and sets it next to his bed. And he woke up early in the morning to the sound of his phone playing music. And he said, it's never happened before, it's never happened since. Something or someone turned on his phone, opened up his music app, and was playing music while he woke up. And of course my question was like, well, what were they playing? And he said, well, funny enough, it was classic piano. And so he said when that happened, he just turned white and just laid there for a while and didn't leave the room because he doesn't even listen to piano music. So those were two of the wild ones that I heard. And then of course you hear people being here at night, hearing piano late at night, you know, faintly in the distance and stuff like that. So, but the one with the opened app playing piano music when the phone was off, that was pretty wild.
My name is Alice Alt, and my affiliation with the Speed Mansion is that I am the Vice President of Advancement and Fundraising for the Kentucky College of Art and Design. When I interviewed for the Kentucky College of Art and Design, and I originally saw that it was in this home, and I'm driving down through Louisville, understanding that I'm relatively new to the community, I thought, is this in a house? And as I drove up, and I was absolutely just gobsmacked by the beauty of it, I felt a call from the home. I felt like I was supposed to be here. I felt as though I'd known of this home. And as I walked up to the home and I rang the doorbell, I noticed it said, JB Speed. This is important for me because the town that I lived in prior to moving here, I worked with the Speed family. They had moved to Arkansas. Not only did I work with the Speed family, I worked with the brother of Marilyn Speed, who married a J. Breckenridge Speed. To go further, not only did I get to work with the Speed family and become very close with the descendants of the Speed family, one of the Speeds named their daughter Hattie. One night I was here relatively late, not really realizing the time, and so I looked up from my computer and I walked outside and of course said hello, and nobody was here. But like my name, Alice, I really am curiouser and curiouser, so I decided to do a little walkabout. And as I walked out into the foyer upstairs, up into the landing area, I felt some chills, and I kind of smiled and said, okay, let's go. And so I started opening up some drawers, and I walked downstairs and around and really felt it up there in that space. Came downstairs and went into the library, because I'd never really been, just quickly looked in when I originally started working here because there were classes, students were in the classrooms. However, that evening I walked into the room and I walked up into the balcony and just was overcome with chills, but not in a bad way, in sort of a knowing way, you know? And so then I walked over and put my hand on the piano. I had no idea if this was Hattie's piano. I had no idea if this was something she had played before, but felt that same sense of chills, emotional connectivity, I guess, for lack of a better word. And then walked out with another big smile on my face. And I noticed that when I walked out into that area, there's a hallway leading out from the library, which is where she taught music and all of the things. And it just immediately got very, very cold. Now, granted, it was cold that day, I understand that, but it got very, very cold. And I went about my way.
Denise, just go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know your relationship with the Speed Mansion.
Sure. I'm Denise O'Donnell. I'm originally from Glasgow, Scotland, so came over to the US in 2008, about 14 years ago. Played college soccer, and then sort of ended up in Louisville finishing an internship for my master's, which led into sort of different sectors and working my way up to the Chief Financial Officer here at the Kentucky College of Art and Design. And so spend most of my week here, you know, doing some work and some financial stuff. stuff, but also have a spiritual practice on my own. So I'm known as the Scottish medium on social platforms.
Oh, the Scottish medium.
Yes.
Okay, so instantly, the first question I want to ask you is, are you familiar with and do you know more about the original owner, Dexter Belknap, and the fact that he hosted one of the most famous spiritualists in the home? Do you know about that?
I've read up on the history of the building. Naturally, just as more of an investigator myself, I was pretty curious and kind of followed the story back, which I always think is interesting to see that what we do, and while it's often described as something that there's a huge skepticism around it, right? It's like you can't see it, so therefore that doubting Thomas element comes in for people, and so it really stems back all the way from years ago. It's not as if people just make it up on the internet now. It's just that the message can travel faster.
So I'm really curious, just because we've been seeing this come up a lot, do you feel like there's any part of you that felt drawn here because of a spiritualist, kind of not, I don't know if you identify yourself as a spiritualist, but having a spiritual background and that work you do, and this place does potentially have ties to spiritualism, do you feel any connection with the building because of that?
Something seems to pull me back, and I've never really been sure what that was, so it might just simply be the tie to spiritualism. I mean, it's certainly an experience, and I think now that as we sort of grow and expand in this building, we see lots of the things become more prominent, right? Because there's more people, activating the space, so that we are energy, right? We are simply just energetic. So when someone's in a space and activates it, we feel that more now, I think, like we've started to move into the third floor. We do have people that work in the backspace of the building, and so as that energetic field continues to sort of be a catalyst for the people in here, I think we feel more and more of their selves coming back and being present in this space. This building is something that you get to come to work and feel like you're at home. And for me, it makes me feel comfortable to be in here. It doesn't scare me. It might scare some others, but I quite enjoy just knowing that there's other people with us here in the space.
Well, it was a very well-loved home, right? You had, Dexter Belknap, who lived here, went ahead and sold it to James Speed with his first wife, Cora Coffin,
Right.
who would pass away in the home, and her funeral was held in the home.
Right.
The interesting thing about that story to me is, all the emphasis is put on his second wife, but he had a first wife
Right.
who did live and die here.
Yeah, not many people think about that part of the story.
It's kind of heartbreaking to me because, this is really Hattie's home, because we all think about it as being Hattie's home. We're sitting in this incredible library that was her recital hall because she was this incredible pianist. But, he did have a first wife.
Right.
And so I think for myself personally, I feel like maybe, oh God, what if it's Cora that's here and it's not Hattie, and she's like, no, it's me. As a person that does, work in this realm, have you ever sensed somebody specifically or had experiences yourself?
The music rings throughout the building, and it's really only if you're here late and the space is still that it's not there's two pianos in this space, yet the pianos are not being played, but the music is playing. And on our alarm panel, when you look at our alarm panel, if you're trying to exit the building and activate the panel, it will say motion in library, and there's nobody here. And the only way a motion sensor can be set off is motion. And you have to come back here and say, hey, can you let me out the building? I'm leaving. And then it will stop, and you can set the alarm panel. But right now you can't set it because there's motion in the library. And so it's kind of like you have to come in and really watch the space and say, hey, I'm trying to go if you would let me, but please stay still for a second.
And what do the students here experience?
Well, I think for me personally, naturally, I've been around when the music has been playing. Because at first I had no idea and hadn't really read up on the history. I was just traveling back and forth and knew I had a ton of work to do. So I was sort of focused on running on that hamster wheel. And then all of a sudden, a few nights in a row, I kept hearing the music going, that's lovely. I mean, it was really enjoyable. It was pleasant, right? Because I'm like, that's amazing. One of the students must be playing the piano. Well, nobody was here. So it did make me feel a little crazy at first, because I was like, I mean, how do you tell that to your new boss, right? And how do you go, hey boss, I'm hearing the piano, right? Especially when you've come in with an executive role to be doing numbers. People don't really tie those together. And so, you know, my work and my spiritual life is slightly separate, because, I mean, you know, you're dealing with budgets and stuff. People are like, you're not talking to other people about our budget, are you? And so, no, you know, it's something as we, as, you know, sort of mediums have to practice to be in our own space and be able to turn it on and off when we need to, simply to, you know, give us the ability to live, right? And not have all these people talking in your ear all day. But we did experience a lot on the third floor. We had a visiting artist here, I think 2 summers ago. It was the summer prior to the pandemic, or right as the pandemic hit, because he ended up staying in the space for a little bit longer. And the thermostat upstairs just turns above 100 degrees. It's insane. And the person in that room does not like it, whether it is from lights to sort of HVAC, to doors being locked and unlocked. The third floor, and he called me and he was like, look, Denise, I don't know what's going on, but the HVAC's not working. Well, the HVAC people are like, there's nothing wrong with the HVAC. We've got no idea why the thermostat's doing this. But there was a few other things. You know, he had opened the windows to try and obviously cool down, because it was 100 degrees in the height of the summer. So, but that, and then sort of dragged in a flock of dead crows. So then we had the crows that would come in the windows, and they were just, you know, they would die. It was like so bizarre. And so, I mean, he had a lot of experiences in that space, and he was like, at one point, he's like, look, I think we have to sage and cleanse this. And so we did, you know, we went around, and it seemed to take the activity down slightly, but as people again start to begin to work daily on the third floor, we're seeing a little bit of the things start to happen again. Because our third floor wasn't full, right? We've just sort of expanding as we need, and now that space is starting to have people in it every day again, the weird things begin to occur. As I was cleansing the space, to me it was a young boy that was in there. I still think it's a young boy, and I mean, he feels like he passed young, and because I think a lot of the things he does is kind of mischievous, right? That's what it feels like. He's not trying to really push someone out of the space per se, but he's like, haha, you know, now you're roasting, good luck, you know, or haha, your lights are off and now you gotta walk from your desk over there to turn them back on. It doesn't feel malicious, although it can get pretty annoying, I'm sure, to the person trying to work there, or, you know, at that time it was a living space, and so the poor person was having all sorts of weird things happen as he was staying here.
So earlier when we were setting up, I walked up to this landing, and the woman that occupies this office walked out and stopped me, and she was like, hey, I just want to tell you, I don't usually talk about this stuff, but the last few days you guys have been here, I've been having really weird shit happen.
What?
She's like, none of my electronics are working, nothing's going right in the office as far as electronics and just things happening. It's not a negative thing, but I will say that I don't talk about this stuff normally, but I think that she's happy you're here. That's what she said.
Awesome.
Yeah, she said she. And so she said she's very excited for us, and that she thinks that it's going to be very eventful. So that was cool.
Awesome. I think as many people that work here that are constantly talking about wanting to see her and wanting us to find, you know, proof of Hattie, I think a lot of that is, you know, kind of keeping the legend alive in this house.
So I think that we'll get Kevin and Malia in the library first, and Mustafa and I will go to the third floor and check it out and look into this crazy story about that artist that was staying here and having the HVAC going crazy, going up to over 100 degrees at one point. The dead crows, I mean, that whole thing sounds like a band, but yeah, it was a real thing that happened. But it's gonna be crazy. So I think you guys down in the library. Malia and Kevin headed to the library to investigate the claims of ghostly piano music ringing through the building late at night.
So I also have the Kestrel drop, the environmental data logger. I'm gonna set it right here on the piano keys, and I can monitor real time on the pad, the temperature, the station pressure, and the relative humidity. So for this season, I wanted to do something a little bit different and see if I could source some other equipment that we could use that is not related to or not made in any way for paranormal investigation. So I reached out to the National Weather Service, you know, who else is going to do better at environmental data than them? And they recommended a brand that they use that is called Kestrel. So I got in touch with Kestrel and was able to get a hold of what they call a drop 3, which is about the size of a key fob, but it's environmental data logger. It'll log temperature, barometric pressure, humidity, all that kind of stuff in real time to where you can monitor it via an app. Thank you for allowing us to come into your house. I hope that we're welcome here.
We're gonna be on our best behavior, I promise. At least Kevin and I are. I can't speak for Mustafa.
Nope, he's on his own.
When I was talking with Andrew Cousins before, Brandon, so we were talking with, he's a professor here, and he used to work in facilities, so he was here for 4 years. And he said that when he was up here, all the doors were opened after they had been shut. And then other days, like, the doors will be left open and they'll be shut and there'll be nobody who have been in here.
Right.
So he said that he went and he like investigated and he looked into it. He couldn't find any reason as like any practical explanation for why that happened. But when I asked him, I'm like, hey, were you like always like a believer in like the paranormal stuff like that? He's like, no, but then I kind of saw his like face change a little bit. He's like, you know what? I said, what? He's like, I've had a lot of experiences of like strange things in the past 4 years. And he goes, and it all started like when I started working at Speed Mansion, and it would happen outside of here too. Really? And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. And I could see, he's like, you never see the coals burning in someone's head, and like they never like thought about that before. Yeah. And I was like, oh snap, dude. Maybe Hattie's getting into people, man.
Hattie, if you're here, I hope this isn't all a little bit too much. I hope we're not intimidating you in any way. There's a lot of us here. We're being as respectful as we can of your beautiful home. This place has lived so many lives and so many people have gone through its walls. Like, that's the other thing too, we have to like wonder. It's like, again, people believe it's a female presence and they hear piano playing, right? So they believe it to be Hattie, which if you want to look at the facts, she passed away here, lived here, loved it, made this place what we all know today. But when you have the amount of students coming through these walls that you did, especially when she was running it as a school, you have to wonder, like, could it also be somebody that came here and learned to play piano? Or maybe the best time of their life was spent here. Maybe it was a female student.
I mean, right now I'm feeling pretty comfortable in here. I feel like I could easily lay on the couch and take a nap. I don't feel...
Yeah, I don't think there's...
I don't feel heaviness. I don't feel...
I felt heaviness when I first walked in, to be honest, but I haven't felt it in a couple minutes.
Yeah, I don't feel heavy. I don't feel like I'm being watched. I don't feel like... I just feel... comfortable.
I will say, Mustafa, if you come over here and look at these doors.
Yeah.
Look at this. These doors locking. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not gonna do it by itself, man. Look at, even like it's got the old. Look at this, the old hinges.
Dude, even this, just this, it's not gonna open by itself. This ain't janky at all.
Look at this, like old. I mean, it's solid. Look at this.
Yeah.
I mean, these aren't accidentally gonna lock themselves.
Nah.
There's no way.
Nah.
I mean, these are. I mean, look at these solid handles, like you said. Look at this. I mean, it's very solid, original hardware, but it's.
Still good.
It works.
They don't make them like they used to.
It's true. It's true. I keep seeing you look out there. You want to go out there or what?
Yeah. We just split up.
Mustafa and I split up to emulate the experiences employees have at the Speed Mansion when they are in the building alone.
Hello? Is anybody here?
I mean, this is the time that people say they don't like being in here by themselves.
Yeah, which is interesting because I don't know, like I truly wonder if it's because there's something going on here or if it's just they're in an 18,000 square foot, 48 room home by themselves that follows no, classical house structure. Like there's hallways where there shouldn't be hallways, windows where there shouldn't be windows. Like it's unnerving being here because it's unexpected.
While Mustafa worked isolated, I monitored activity from the nerve center, unaware I'd experienced something that would change the course of our investigation. What the hell? Dude, I just heard a kid in here.
Where you at? Mustafa's on his way up to you now.
Who is that? Mustafa.
Hello? Okay, this is weird. Hello? Is there anybody up here?
Clear as a bell, sitting here at Nerve Center, I heard a kid, I mean, right about where David's standing, our cameraman, I mean, twice, very loud. I mean, it has to be on this Nerve Center camera right here. It's got to be on our audio devices. It was so loud, so loud.
Gnarly up there, dude.
What?
Dude, gnarly up there.
What do you mean?
Go up there, see if you feel anything, dude. But like, walk in that area where we first started.
All right.
Way different. You want to bring the EDI up there?
I'll take the EDI.
So this thing is like, obviously we don't want to like rely on our feelings, and that's why we go so nuts with like setting up all of our devices and our equipment. But a lot of times, like if you've been doing this a long time, you can get a sense. I don't know, it sounds arrogant, or like, I'm not saying like a medium or something, or anybody is here, but there's a vibe. Oh, that's Brandon. There's a vibe, like something happens and you get that feeling, and that feeling,
Here to say hi.
I don't know what it was, but like when we were here earlier, when we came here during the day, it was just heavy. It was very heavy. And it's something special when you're walking in, especially with like Brandon and I, and we both immediately just like looked at each other like, ooh. Didn't have to say
Motion
anything.
detector here.
But upstairs now, and I guess that's why we were so frustrated, it's because we thought that we would have that feeling. We were looking for that experience. Went up there, didn't feel anything, even like completely by ourselves in parts of the building, but I don't know what it was. Like now, something about it. That has to be him turning that doorknob. Did he turn that doorknob? Yeah, we have it recorded. I gotta ask him. He's getting freaked out up there. Heard that?
That's yeah.
Vibe? Hey, did you turn that doorknob on that door?
What?
Did you turn that doorknob on that
I
door?
went past it.
But did you turn it?
I don't know, I might have bumped it, I don't know.
Because the door.
What do you mean?
The doorknob turned and this thing went inside.
What do you mean?
I mean,
Right after you walked
someone turned the doorknob and that lock mechanism went in. It's recorded, dude.
I went past the door and like hit it.
All right, I'm gonna go walk past it and hit it, and then you tell me if
Well, wouldn't you see someone's hand grab it? What do you mean?
dude, the doorknob.
The other side.
No, the doorknob turned, and the lock mechanism goes
Hold
on the
on.
inside.
What the hell
Dude,
was that?
I don't know.
You heard that, right?
It was,
I got like, dude,
me too.
I'm like, I got like, my back is like.
It was crazy up
chills.
there now. That's the feeling we had when we first came in, when we were during the day. And now it's not there. I mean, and then before, when we first started the investigation, it wasn't there. Now it just turned, dude. What happened?
I gotta take a like. I'm like.
Yeah, take a seat.
Do you feel foggy in your head a little bit?
Yeah, big time, dude. That's why I told you to go up there. I just wanted to see if like I wasn't crazy. But like, you went up there and it was
Oh,
vibey, right?
instantly.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I hit like when I was going up this flight, fine. I got to that second flight, I was like, just like, ooh.
Yeah.
Motion detector here. As I exited the room and headed down the hall towards the staircase, we captured a phenomena that defies explanation. Right here, okay? Hello?
There's this really, really salacious ghost story, and it's kind of one that's repeated a lot, you know, across different cultures, and it's that of the woman who felt like she wasn't good enough, you know, for her husband or lover's like previous lover. And it's the story of Harriet, Hattie. Hattie was a very, very well-respected and acclaimed concert pianist. What's really cool about that is the fact that her legacy and her love for music and art is alive and well here at Speed Mansion. And how cool is it that students get to study in this badass haunted house? It's like, oh, you're doing, you know, a book report or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't remember college that much. It's all a haze. But whatever it is that they're doing, and they're doing their work, they're doing it in a place that has purported haunted claims. And a lot of the students say that they've encountered activity that many people attribute to Hattie. I mean, we were talking to the president of this school earlier, and she says, oh, it's like, I hope you can find evidence of Hattie here. I mean, she says it. This is like an official person who's like on payroll and everything. She's not some kooky ghost guy by the dumpster being like, oh man, this place is haunted. She's a legitimate, bona fide professional who says that. And that to me is very, very cool. So walking through these halls and checking out different places, I know enough not to put a bunch of credence in feelings, but Brandon and I have been on enough investigations together where we start to become more attuned to our feelings, and we notice that we're able to document really weird environmental changes and visual anomalies and audio anomalies around that same time.
The story of Hattie is so romantic and so beautiful, and she would ultimately end up also dying in the home. And what I love most about the history and the life of the home now is people really want it to be Hattie that's here. They want it to be her that's playing the piano music that people hear coming from the old recital hall. I also hope it's her, because I really do think she loved it here. And I have to wonder, you know, a home this big, I mean, and it's massive, to live here all by yourself, because her husband would die before she would die, so she was here all by herself. You have to really love a home a lot to stay in a home this large by yourself. So I think that says a lot.
Yeah, Old Louisville is strange. It's a place that during the day feels pretty pleasant, depending on which block you're on, you know, because it kind of really depends on the block. But man, the vibe here changes significantly at night.
Oh yeah.
Like it's so imposing. You just have all these dark stone homes that look awesome during the day, and you're like, oh, I want to live there. And at night, you're like, no, I don't. No, I don't. It's a murder house. I like murder houses. During the day, pleasant, very nice. Want tea in them, but nighttime, different story. American Horror Story.
Old Louisville, which is one of the most haunted cities in America.
Which is.
Very comfortable. The only thing we've had so far is about a 5-degree temperature drop since we came in here. It was 77.8 whenever we came in. We're at a 72.6 right now.
All right, great. Keep us posted on if anything happens further.
Will do, yeah. Right now it just seems it's very comfortable. No sense of being watched, no sense of heaviness. Just very relaxing. Which a lot of times that's when we pick up the most activity.
I know, you just never know.
Hey Kevin, we're having some pretty weird stuff happen up here, so if you and Malia want to head back up to Nerve Center, we'd like to send you guys up to that 3rd floor.
Copy that.
I'm gonna go see what that angle. Let's go look what that angle of the GoPro looks like.
Please.
Yeah, let's go look at it real quick.
Brandon, that's what they do. They mess with doors and they lock doors.
That's right. So I went past it and then I leaned in like this at one point when I came in.
Did you turn the handle?
Well,
No, when you came in. I'm talking after you left.
even if I did, hold on. Even if I did like try and,
You can't, dude.
that's kind of hard to turn.
I know, that's what I was testing. It went, which,
See,
it went this way.
I think we get a control camera. We put it on a handle. We have Leah walk through this by herself.
I love it.
Yeah.
Is it?
Let's do
I
it.
got
See
the
if she's
one
cool.
on the handle.
I don't want this.
So we would like you to go up by yourself with the GoPro and walk through that area.
Here's the
And
thing
then-
though, like we're not like asking, like you just gonna like go up, you have to.
I am like literally sweating.
It's for science, so just go do it, all right?
Oh my God.
All right, be a team player here. all right?
I'm
We-
literally,
I don't-
okay, I will stay as long as I
God,
can
told
stay.
you, I told you. It's
If
so
I get
annoying.
We're
legitimate.
right here, and you call us. We're right here. We'll run up.
It's a few steps up, all right? Just.
We're not far.
All right, guys, I will give it a freaking shot.
Oh, thank you so much.
And-
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.
My God, thank you so much, Malia. Thank you so much. Just get the camera, go up. You'll be fine. Nothing will.
It's still rolling, right?
You don't understand.
With my butt, I
I don't
clenched
want to
my
have an
butt so
actual
tight.
panic attack, which might happen.
Well, if it does, we'll help you out.
You're not gonna have a panic attack. What's there to panic about? They're not gonna do anything to you. They just scare you, and it's just, you know, it feels weird. It just feels like someone's stalking you in the middle of the night, you know.
Which
It's
is
about-
actually my worst fear in life, and I'm not even exaggerating.
Sharks are way scarier. I promise you.
We got you.
It'll be okay.
All right, so this is this right here, right? So just walk
It's
with
probably
this,
a
just
kid
hold
ghost.
it.
Just kick it if it does anything.
Oh my God, can you just stop talking, please?
You've never hit a kid?
All right, well, I'll walk as much as I can.
Just a little
Okay.
bit. Just a little
All
bit.
right.
You want to walk here, or you just want to yell?
Just scream.
I think we'll hear.
Yeah, that's probably true too.
All
Can you
right.
just shut
Be
the
safe.
fuck me, man. Fucking assholes.
Make sure you walk the labyrinth of the halls up there.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, good luck,
But
Malia.
every part.
Oh
every
my
part.
God.
Make sure you get it all. And walk slowly. Don't shake the camera.
Guys, I'm literally, this is like Preston Castle all over again.
All right.
You okay?
I like literally, like I am not fucking exaggerating. Like everything is like, do not fucking go up there.
You serious?
I literally have not felt this all night. I swear to fucking God.
Well, see how far you can get.
Yeah. We'll come up right away. That's not. All right. I feel bad now.
I'm gonna sit on the stairs right here.
Yeah. I'll be on the other side, Malia.
So I'm in this office. Fucking what the fuck? Shit.
So right now we have Malia upstairs, walking by herself, and what we're trying to do is test this theory about, does fear kind of permeate the environment? Does, a belief of something scary or the fear within itself, does it somehow change the environment? So we're not trying to torture Malia here, it's not the point, but what we're trying to do is see if her anxieties and her fear of being up there alone, if that will change the environment. If we get some kind of environmental changes within that, it would be, an interesting test for the theory. So if there's data associated with that, it'll be a win. So hopefully it goes well. So we'll see.
We're fine. Oh shit. Okay. Somebody in here with me? Hi. Guys? I'm getting a lot of hits in this room. I'm getting hits. Yeah. Are you here? I'm getting that heat again. Fuck. Okay. Is anybody in here? Hey guys.
Yes.
I'm like getting really lightheaded.
Okay, let's get you down.
Can I get a little bit of a light on the stairs?
I got you.
don't wanna. It's weird. I'm okay
You
on
okay?
this. I'm okay here. Every time I've tried to cross this threshold, I get a fucking head wave. I'm talking like full spin.
Oh my gosh, and how far did you get?
I get to about like past right here.
And it happens?
Yeah,
Okay.
like full spin. It's really weird, but I wasn't getting anything else left. Like once you guys
Okay.
left, I wasn't getting anything else in that room
All right.
or up here at all.
Let's get you down then.
I'm just kind of processing. I have never experienced anything like I experienced upstairs, like ever. And I've been a lot of spooky ass places and a lot of places that have like really dark history. This place does not have that. It doesn't. It's supposed to be welcoming and happy. And what I felt upstairs was not welcoming and it was not happy. And I felt like unsafe isn't, it's the closest word I can come to. It doesn't exactly express how I feel. It feels like as like, you know, like a woman when you're walking alone to your car and there's that shady dude that's like walking and too close and you're like, this, I might get bad.
It's rare to experience nearly all of the claims associated with a location during the course of a single investigation, but that's exactly what we found at Speed Mansion. While the KiCad staff believes their strange encounters are related to Hattie and the home's connection to spiritualism, it's difficult to answer definitively, but APRA did log significant changes in the environmental data, while documenting identical experiences from some of the most credible witnesses we have spoken with to date.